Normally I don't wear hats like these, but it was a Christmas gift, it has Batman on it, and I don't feel like doing my hair, so yeah. And what I also normally don't do is videos like this, where I kind of give off like opinion pieces or hypothetical theories or things to just get my noggin going. And just recently I noticed something that I was like, huh, this pertains to something that I genuinely love, and I feel like this property needs some kind of redemptive arc within this medium, and I'm talking about Star Wars video games. We have very fond memories of Star Wars video games, especially when LucasArts was at the helm of said games. And ever since the acquisition of LucasArts or Lucasfilm rather, by Disney, LucasArts has disbanded and EA took over the video game rights. Ever since then, I think the road of EA's exodus to try to bring us the quintessential Star Wars game has been rocky, to say the least. Their first outing, Star Wars Battlefront, or as a lot of people like to call it, Star Wars Battlefront EA, was an okay game, and I know I didn't manage to purchase it, but trust me, I purchased it at like 20 bucks or something like that, at a price point that I felt comfortable with, and I played it for like a week or so, and after that, just the novelty and being able to go around as the heroes of the Star Wars saga, while at the same time being able to go through the death matches and capture the flags and stuff like that as either the Empire or the Rebels, wore out over time. And with a Star Wars game, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to make me wish that I could just jump on to the next game as opposed to staying within this universe. And that's definitely a red flag that something is wrong, something's going down. The lack of a single player campaign and then the loot crate boxes and all the microtransactions was the thing that really turned gamers away from wanting to really give this property a chance and give EA a chance, even though I'm not saying that they should. But I think gamers need to figure out things for themselves. It's like movie critics looking at Rotten Tomatoes and being like, oh, that movie got like a low score, I'm not going to see the movie. No, make up your own opinion, check it out, at least rent the damn thing. So that's why I was, despite having purchased Battlefront, I was still cautiously optimistic, or at least open-minded about Battlefront 2 whenever that released, because I knew that it was coming. And that came this year. But of course, just like with the first game, even after they tried to remedy some things, like including a single-player campaign, or refining the gameplay, or being able to give us some visuals that are genuinely astonishing, especially through the cutscenes, even though some of the design choices for some of the heroes that we know from the original trilogy are questionable. Luke, Jesus Christ, what did they do to Luke? It was still dragged through the mud through the word of the microtransactions making a return, as well as loot boxes that sparked up a major movement where Australia was trying to decide whether or not it's considered gambling, spending all this money for loot boxes that you know are not going to exactly pay off, or if this is going to cheat the multiplayer, or people not going to exactly have fun with the multiplayer. Battlefront 2 was not exactly in the best shape. However, I did in fact play Battlefront 2, but after being somewhat burned with Battlefront, I only rented it through Redbox, and I only played through the single player campaign. I did not try the multiplayer, didn't exactly have time, nor did I find any kind of key appeal to make me want to go, hey, I want to play the multiplayer, I want to stick around with this game and pay an extra $3 for the night. Not really. But I did manage to play through the single player, which was only about like 5 hours or something like that. And it wasn't terrible, but man, they dropped the ball in a number of different areas with that single player, from again, some of the questionable designs for some of our beloved characters like Luke, but then the writing gets kind of bad because you're thinking to yourself like, oh, this is a very captivating story, being able to see the war between the rebels and the empires from different sides, and it turns out that things that you were hoping they wouldn't do, they do. And I'm like, whoa. So then if the bad word of mouth surrounding Battlefront 2 wasn't enough, EA then goes on to have the balls to close down Visceral Games, which was currently working on a Star Wars single-player experience. And they just flat out said, oh, you know, they didn't exactly cancel the game, but they shut down the studio. And I think the only thing left for them to do is to announce that, yes, that game is no longer coming out. Right now, it's officially considered in development hell, but I would not be surprised if within the coming weeks I wake up one morning and it says right there, so-and-so game that was originally done by Visceral Games, headed up by Amy Hennig, who, God bless Amy Hennig, because I feel so terrible for her, leaving Naughty Dog to supposedly pursue her vision, and then she goes over to a company that gets shut down by, out of all people, EA. God be with you, Amy, because I know that you've delivered us some amazing games through the original Uncharted trilogy, and I think you deserve better. And now the future of the Star Wars games is kind of put into question. But recently there's been some kind of developments that's gotten me thinking about whether or not Disney would be bold enough to either acquire some kind of independent studio or create their own studio again, because I understand that Disney Interactive is no longer in circulation. They've kind of shut down that studio, and it's a shame because I remember playing some old school games from Disney Interactive like Atlantis Trial by Fire and stuff like that. They weren't exactly the best games, but they do give me some fond memories of what was the time that I used to spend during my childhood. So that was pretty cool. However, it would be rather neat for Disney to jump back into the video game aspect of things, but this time they acquire a studio or a development team that is kinda independent but really strong, and then they assign them the Star Wars games, and they buy back the rights from EA. Because recently, even though this could be used as simply a marketing ploy, and I understand that, but hear me out, recently Disney, or at least somebody at Disney, kickstarted the servers for the original Star Wars Battlefront II from 2005, and I believe this happened back in October. The servers for Battlefront 2 went back up online. I do in fact happen to have the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 on PlayStation 2. I have the fondest memories of this game, and it's one of the best Star Wars games to date, not only with a great single player campaign that sure it's not super fleshed out in the story because you're playing it from a perspective of a clone during the Clone Wars, but he has like some introspective monologues that sound like something from a war movie, and I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. Plus the way that you handle the heroes and the way you go around using their powers handles way better than any of the heroes you did in Battlefront or Battlefront 2. And on top of that, the aerial dogfights or through space and all that stuff. And originally that was like, okay, this was done back in October. I can imagine this as simply being a little ploy to kind of market not only Star Wars Battlefront 2, the new EA one that was coming out in November, but also to kind of get Star Wars on people's minds, because then we got Last Jedi coming out at that time. And after the release of that brand new trailer, along with ticket sales, people are hyped up for Star Wars. So a little reward for beloved people from the original Battlefront 2. Somebody over at Disney said, okay, let's go ahead and start those servers back up again. And that's awesome. However, recently, and I believe as recent as within the last week or two, maybe 3 weeks or so, somebody at Disney, once more, or somebody who used to work for Disney Interactive or has access to the servers or has access to the infrastructure of this game, went and put out a patch for Star Wars Battlefront 2. A patch of some sorts. It's going to be working out some of the kinks within the game. I don't know if the kinks are just for multiplayer or for single player, but why is it that they're still continuously supporting this game a whole 12 years after its initial release? Again, could be a simple marketing execution to be able to pimp out the new EA Battlefront 2, or to keep people's minds on The Last Jedi so that they get continuously debated on Facebook. But seeing how EA is kind of going up in flames with the Star Wars games after shutting down Visceral, the poor reception of Battlefront 2, Disney could really use some kind of acquisition for the Star Wars games, because we want those memories of the LucasArts Star Wars games, from Shadows of the Empire to Knights of the Old Republic, all that stuff, the good old times. And I will admit, I didn't exactly play every single Star Wars game, but I understood and completely comprehended why it is that people love those games, because I would see gameplay footage, I would see playthroughs, I would see reviews and all that stuff. And even though I never had like the proper computer to run Knights of the Old Republic, or I wasn't exactly on the Team Xbox, because I understand that that's kind of where they had their Knights of the Old Republic and Shadows of the Empire and stuff like that. I might be getting those systems wrong, but it's never too late to really not only make a good chunk of money from people's nostalgia here, but at the same time you have a win-win situation where we will get a quality product from an independent, or not so independent anymore, I guess, team that's strong with their development skills and know how to treat Star Wars right, and know how to treat a story right, and know how to make mechanics in the game work, because they want to take their time. And Disney has proved time and time again that they love to take their time with not just the Star Wars movies, but also with the Marvel movies, and as well as some of the things that they're kind of remaking and bringing back. I mean, how many of the original animated Disney movies are getting the live action treatment and are still managing to be good, if not at least decent movies? If they pay attention to the numbers of how many people are willing to return to this game after all these years just because you simply restarted the servers and put out a patch, that's power. That's power right there that they can tap into and realize that, you know what, it's time to take Star Wars back in the video game department. We already do it with the movies and the comics and the canon. Let's do it with the video games. Please find a way to have somebody meet up with EA and bring back Star Wars the way that only they know how. And again, acquire some kind of independent team that could really use the money, buy them out, but know that this is going to be not so much a dictatorship or a hierarchy, but also a partnership where the two of them can work together to not only create an awesome Star Wars story, but overall an amazing Star Wars game. So that's what's been on my mind lately. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that it would be a right move for Disney to buy out some kind of company and make them do a Star Wars game? Whether or not they are able to take back the rights from EA or establish some type of brand new contract? Or do you think that you've had it enough with Disney buying every single thing, especially after the recent acquisition of 20th Century Fox? They own the majority of things, but at least they're not trashing them. They're not exactly making complete, utter shitty products from them. We got great movies, we got great cartoons, stuff like that, TV shows. What would be so bad about them heading up the video game landscape, bringing back some kind of Disney Interactive division, and this time their flagship series would be a series of Star Wars games, where we can have games like the original Battlefront, Battlefront II, Knights of the Old Republic, Shadows of the Empire. Wouldn't that be great? Let me know all of your guys' input in the comments below. Make sure you support this video by hitting the like and share, and do not forget to subscribe for more opinion pieces as well as reviews coming from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all later. Take care. It kind of tries to do what certain other asymmetrical multiplayer games do, where one character is this big powerful thing and then the other characters are just regular humans trying to take it down. All out Friday the 13th right now. Evolve, however, wasn't as pristine and polished as, well, neither is Friday the 13th.